This is the
legs. Quarterback's legs.
Fakes left, now taken off. Gonna run for it, he got it! And there he goes! Inside the 10, the 5. Oh, the play of the year in the NFL! Quarterback legs it was.
I said no spy on this play. I can't believe it. The rare mistake by Kansas City. There's times.
Hey, what's up, guys? Anthony Testino, contributor for Eric Smith over on YouTube. And the Dolphins 2025-26 season has concluded. I'm recording this Monday night. Just kind of got word that Mike McDaniel is probably going to be back as of a few hours ago, I guess, via Ian Rappaport. We'll see. We'll see if that's finalized or we get any official statement. I would imagine Ross has to come out and address that personally before we, take it to the bank. But it's probably got some truth to it. It's kind of what I'm expecting because that's how this team and organization loves to operate. I did tweet this out just to, clear this up, I guess, would be, I do want Mike, gone. I respect Mike. I like Mike. And, I do think he's a pretty damn good, brilliant offensive mind, specifically in the run game. I think the passing game concepts and those kinds of things, maybe just the pure progression stuff, I'm not a fan of, and maybe it's because I'm a little more old school. I don't know, but I don't think it necessarily helps. And I think that's more so just a product of the entire NFL at this point and the way things are done and how much of a microwave society and everything is, right? Nothing can take its time anymore and actually slow roast, especially your quarterbacks. It's, we got to get them in, we got to win now. So let's make the job as easy as possible, make it as similar as possible to what they did in college. So that way we can have success and let's hit the ground and get it going. Right. And again, that can be good, but I think it can also set you up for failure, right? Blah, blah, blah. But bottom line is that I do, eventually want Mike, gone. I really hope that it's kind of because you look at the candidate list for this year and who's available and you just don't see anybody there that screams come get me, And if that's the case, that's fine. We'll never get that because they'll never be that transparent with the fan base and the public. And that's probably also not fair to do to Mike, to just basically say, hey, you're a dead man walking. But that's what I'm hoping that this whole thing is that it's what, if we're going to be down this year and, we're still trying to find answers, and 27 is when we would really kind of start to go into attack mode once our salary cap, becomes available, a lot more money. And then, we have 2027 draft class, which is supposed to be second to none is what people are saying. Again, I get it. Then let Mike just continue to do his thing this year, see if there's any improvement and he learns. And then basically, if there's any remote question, of well, is he the guy? It's gone. Mike has to just prove and change and improve on everything that's been an issue in Miami ever to retain the job any further than 26. So if they are quietly going about their business that way, I can live with it. Again, we won't know that for probably a whole nother year, but it is what it is. That's the world we live in, and that's kind of the seats that we sit in as fans and the public, right? So we'll see what happens. As far as this game goes, yeah, don't take it too seriously. I kind of had some fun with it. Tried to keep it positive. Obviously, we got smoked. I mean, there's tons of negative, but I've kind of said before, when I feel like the team gives up, there's no point in showing the negative because if you're not even trying, there's nothing to grade, So, yeah, like I said, I kind of highlighted and found the guys that I thought, were playing their asses off still. They played for pride, shine the light on some guys maybe that I'm excited for the future, and maybe some guys that I'd like to bring back. And again, there was a couple of funny things in there too that I enjoyed, that I shared with you guys, that you can kind of only catch on the All 22 view. So hopefully you guys will get a kick out of that as well. Yeah, man, it's come to a close. Another disappointing year to be a Dolphins fan. And It's just at some point it's got to be our time, man. Just keep hanging in there with me, keep hanging in there with them. It's okay to be pissed. It's okay to be frustrated. I totally get it. I know I am. My biggest thing is that make sure that when you're mad at the right people and you're mad in the right spots and for the right reason. And then if you have strong opinions about something, make sure that you go and you find the tape. Make sure that you go back it up, and make sure that the stats that you use make sense. And I'm just saying this because recently I've gotten into some conversations and stuff with people on Twitter where they're bringing up things, and it's like, that doesn't tell the story. You can kind of find statistics to back up whatever you want. It's when you develop an opinion about a player, or this or that, like, it's everything, right? It's the tape, it's the eye test, it's the numbers, it's what situations they're doing these things in, and it all plays a part. So again, just make sure that you keep yourself balanced, and make sure that you're using all the ingredients when you brew up your opinion. So and again, and if those things, like tape and whatnot, are not, they're not available to you, ask somebody that does. Even if you don't follow Eric or I, closely or whatnot. I mean, talk to whoever you do follow, and make sure that they're grounded in their opinions and in their tape watching. Um, just there's just so much bad, crazy football that talk that it's just, I shake my head, and it brings me back to the reason why I even got into this. I say this at the end of the video, but I also, I reached out to Eric just to thank him for the opportunity, because I just really got tired of talking to people on Twitter, that I don't feel like do those things, and I feel like they just talk and whatever. They just spit out stuff without even really thinking or confirming, and that's just not who I want to spend my time conversing with. This gives me an opportunity to show you guys, that, Eric, and, like, speaking for Eric and I, we do put in the work. We do pay attention, and we do, think things through rationally, and we do try to take out as much fandom and bias as we possibly can to give you guys the most real answer we can. And, and I think we do a pretty good job of that. And for my first time ever doing anything like this, I appreciate anybody that's, taking a liking to it. Just know that, I plan on improving, drastically going into next year. And, I'm really excited for the off season, where I get to kind of, show off some of my football intelligence, because, tape is one thing, but you're seeing it, right? So it's kind of just, I'm showing you what we're getting, where the off season there's a little bit more projecting, and I like that aspect of it. I will say it till I'm blue in the face. Like, I'm a coach, or was a coach. I haven't coached in a couple of years, but if I could choose, I would much rather be a GM. That has always been my, like, dream fantasy job, like, basically since I was old enough to understand, the business side and the team building side of football, and not just what happens on Sunday. So yeah, so with all that said, guys, this is it. I thank you again for, checking out our stuff, and being, always being respectful in the comments, and, providing a good discourse and all that. It really has, it's been fun. Overall, it's been a very positive experience for me. So again, I think, Eric and I are going to continue to do this and look to improve and try to do, and even expand at some point when we can kind of figure out what works for us, our schedule, and what's going on in Dolphins world and all that kind of stuff. So, again, thank you very much. Appreciate it, guys. Hope you guys enjoy the last one. And, yeah, we'll be getting into this, we'll be getting into the off season very soon, man. So exciting times, time for, new hope, new starts. And, hopefully the 2026 Dolphins are a hell of a lot better than the 25 Dolphins. So, all right, check it out, guys. Thanks again. Later. Okay, guys, first one we're going to take a look at here is a play by Zack, and we've been, kind of showing Zack a little bit more lately, because he's getting back to his old self, and he's definitely turned it on as the season has gone on. His second half was much better than his first half, and I would even say his last month was probably the best. So, the negative reps are kind of, becoming far and few between again. And, he's starting to create some plays in the backfield and wreak havoc, and and win his one-on-ones and defeat blocks, right away at the point of attack. So again, he looks more like the Zack Seiler that we thought we would get, this year. So hopefully, going forward, that is the Zack that we get next year as well, and for the duration of his contract. Okay, on the first play of the game, when Ramondre, ran for 9 yards or whatever it was, Zack had him in the backfield. Zack defeated the block the same exact way, just ended up in a one-on-one situation where he broke down maybe a little too early instead of being aggressive and trying to go get Ramondre. And Ramondre just jump cut and shook him in the backfield, and then kind of picked and pushed his way up, for a positive gain, where here we're going to see Zack do it, finish the play on Travion Henderson's, right? So you get Zack defeating the block instantly from the center, which is Garrett Bradbury today, and not their stud rookie Jared Wilson from Georgia, who was somebody that I know, certain Dolphins people liked and had interest in. So here you get it there, boom, chases him down, grabs him by the ankle, and good job too by these guys out here, kind of just at least squeezing that down, right? I mean, he could have picked through here, he could have picked through here, but I'm not sure what he was gonna get. But Travion's slippery. Travion's good back, man. He's obviously another one that's had a better second half of the year than he did his first. He really turned it on. But yeah, good play by Zack. And again, we know that this game was bad. I don't expect to see a lot of good tape. I mean, they scored in the first 3 plays of the game, right? So, but I don't think the Dolphins really showed up with the intentions of, hey, we're going to go out there, play our hardest, and win, at least not from all 11. But as you go through the tape, you do find guys that played their asses off and did play for pride, and Zack was one of them. So, like I said, I mean, we could definitely beat down a lot of guys today, and I'm sure, I will show some negative clips. But we're gonna highlight the plays that were made by the Dolphins and the guys that did give effort. So this is the first one, and we'll see what we get. We'll see what we get next. Okay, guys, next one, just real quick. I mean, I'm sure you guys saw this on the TV copy, but when you watch it from like these angles, it's fun to see, man. You get a big guy here boogieing, and you get a chance to see Kenneth Grant like really show off some of that athleticism that he has for his side. And yeah, like, the pass rush wasn't perfect, right? But it was enough where Drake felt the need that he wanted to get outside the pocket, try to create something, and he's a very athletic dude, man. I mean, he showed that off early and often and has done it all year. And you get Chubb kind of selling out, going for the ankle. He slips by, and Kenneth Grant, is as 330, 340, whatever he's at right now, to be moving well enough to at least take away the angle where Drake could have taken off. I think Kenny G would have been there to at least push him out of bounds and hold that to a minimal gain. And then, he continues to, play to the whistle. And I mean, he puts a good shot on Drake May there. Like that's the stuff that you wanna do to opposing quarterbacks. The more you hit them, the more you can get hands on. It's certain guys are different. Some guys you can fluster, some guys you can bang up. They may be less tempted to leave the pocket, less tempted to throw. They want to get the ball out quicker. Or they're less tempted to hang on to it. That kind of thing. So again, this is our first round pick here, and especially after like what I've been reading recently. I mean, I have people saying that this whole draft class was garbage. Like I really don't know what you're talking about. I don't see it. Does it lack right now maybe some star power? Like, because you didn't hit a home run and find an immediate just like all pro or something? Because I don't understand. I really don't. When I look at this draft class, I'm very pleased by it as far as what I think that they can develop into. I mean, you have, 3 guys up front, like we're highlighting one here, and you have 3 guys up front that are going to hopefully create a pretty damn stout run defense for the Miami Dolphins for the next decade. My fingers are crossed that it's, that long and they stick together and they develop into what we think they can be. And if they do, or even if we hang on to two guys, whatever the case may be, like stopping the run is like football 101 for any team. Like when you begin training camp, and are getting ready for the season, like there are certain things that, are like have to be automatic in your DNA as a team. Like it's not like a choice, like, well, we'll be a high octane offense and we're gonna spread it out, and on defense we'll allow the run game. Like nobody says that. So, again, like stopping the run, being able to run the ball, and then, a lot of situational football stuff, your 2 minute, your 4 minute, your short yardage, those kinds of things, like your blitz, your blitzing, your blitz pickups, like those are things that like every good football team needs to be able to do. And like I said, like Dolphins have some good dudes up front, man, like good young players that are going to allow them to do that. So you can miss me with the Kenneth Grant, defamation and Jordan Phillips, and tell me that this draft class is no good. Like, no, thank you, man. Like, I'll take these guys again. I'll take these guys every week, and again, like I'll be patient because I know, what the ceiling is and what they can become. Kenneth Grant is going to be a player. Like you can mark it down. I'm letting you all know right now. Okay. So another guy that I want to highlight here, and it's a good play, but it's a bad play because he didn't finish it. But he had a play earlier in the game that I chose not to show. But Jack Jones made a nice tackle on, I think it was the second possession, when the Patriots ran a reverse to Kyle Williams. And I'll tell you what, if Jack Jones doesn't slip by the blocker that's out in front and put a good stick on Kyle Williams, I'm not sure that they get him. The way it was set up, where Miami's guys were, and the blockers that he had out in front, it looked like it might have went a long way. And yeah, Jack did a damn good job of deciding to not just say, I'm going to set the edge, I'm going to stand here, basically. He decided to be aggressive and slip by the block and make the tackle. And now here on this play, he's going to do that as well, right? He reads this, he's coming up from his edge position. Yes, Travion bounces off, so Jack doesn't technically finish the play, but I'll take that. I mean, it ended up at only, not every time, only because in this situation, it only ended up being a 2-yard gain. Jordan Brooks finishes it off. And again, Jack doesn't really have like a reputation, quite like Rasul Douglas, where he's, just a phenomenal tackler and an edge setter, like out at the corner position or anything. But again, like overall, man, I've been very pleased with the way Jack Jones has played. And like, I mean, when we signed him, I had kind of gotten into some conversations early in the season, with like either Raiders fans or Patriots fans, and kind of just, it's of course the thing that everybody loves to do is say, oh, you have him, we had him, he sucks, and then they'll say this and they'll try to find things to back it up, and it's like listen, like I know who he is, I know what he's done. Anybody can pull up PFF grades and this and that and look at the stats, and just again, it goes to show a lot of people, like they don't care, they don't deal in facts. It's all about the gotcha game and the pointing finger and trying to laugh in other people's faces because they can do it from a safe distance. Like I'm just so tired of it all, and I'm like thankful that the season's kind of come to an end here because of things like that. So getting back to Jack Jones, though, like during that conversation, I had said, like, listen, I only need Jack Jones to be like, a top 50 corner. And he, and the person, like, again, you can tell they don't understand like what's going on, because top 50, ha ha ha, right? And it's like, do you understand that there's 2 starting corners on each team? So if he's a top 50 guy, then he's like a top 20, like number 2 corner. Like, again, I will take that. And then also considering the fact that most teams deal in nickel now, you're looking at, like, I mean, you could make the argument that there's 3 starting corners, or, a safety hybrid or whatever. Well, the bottom line is there's 3 secondary players on the field, an awful lot for every team, every game. So when you do that math, then you're looking at 96 guys potentially starting, quote unquote starting. So again, I was asking for Jack. I mean, if like the potential was there, that in the athleticism and the attitude and the feistiness and all that stuff, like, he's a dude that he has it all. Like he really does. The only thing he probably lacks is maybe a little bit of size and some weight. But reality is, I mean, he's his feet are fast and he's quick because of maybe a lack thereof. So when it comes to Jack, like he surpassed expectations, or he definitely met them at least. And yes, he ducks his head there. He doesn't complete the play, but he's right back in there. Like that dude plays, man. Like he is somebody that plays. He does not give up. He doesn't care about anything else. He wants to play. And you know what? Considering the Dolphins are going through a youth movement, I talk about how I would love to have Rasul Douglas back, but it probably doesn't fit just because of his age and where Miami's at, and kind of a rebuild, and again a youth movement. Well, Jack Jones, from what I recall, is only like 25, 26 years old. So if Miami wants to go that route and bring him back on a cheaper deal, it's going to have to be a little bit more probably than what he earned this year, and rightfully so. But you can sign me up for that. I'm good with bringing Jack Jones back and letting that dude, as long as he continues to keep his head on straight and has really figured out, how to be a professional. Yeah, man, I'll take what he gives me on the field. Absolutely, all day, every day. Here we are going to jump into a play that is made by my favorite player. This is on a 4th and 1, and you get an interesting setup here. They have Ramondre here, and then they have Travion Henderson lined up here, and then the 6th offensive lineman with nothing but blocking and tight ends, it looks like here. So basically no receivers, very heavy formation, 2 running backs with an extra lineman here, right? Interesting formation. Miami's lined up tight, prepared for QB sneak, anything up the middle, and this is what we get. Jordan Brooks does a damn good job here of penetrating, beating this guy, getting inside, which stops Travion from taking this any further outside, even though Rasul is sitting here and probably would have had something to say about that. But it does force him to stick his foot in the ground and try to cut this back up inside. And you get Jordan, making a play on it. But the play is no doubt made by Terrell Dodson here. That is a great play. And the reason why I bring this up, right, is he's definitely been a focal point for us. Mostly bad, some good. Not afraid to show either side of it. Just whatever he gives me on tape is what I'll show. And I again kind of going to Twitter. I posted this dude's got to go, and for the most part there's some people that agree, and then there's people that probably see plays like this and think it's this is what he's been doing all year long, because he will make flash plays. There's no doubt about it. He's a kind of a flashy player in a way. The problem is there's not enough flash, and there's a hell of a lot of negative in between those flashes. And again, I can give credit where credit's due. That's a phenomenal play. But again, like, this is not what we get on a consistent basis. Like, I get a lot of just freelancing, being out of position, not reading things properly. I mean, balls just whizzing right past his head. When in reality is, if he had his eyes and was moving, his eyes in the right spot and was moving properly and reading the, route combinations and those kinds of things, stuff that your linebacker should be doing. Honestly, like, there was a lot more plays to be made. And with his athletic ability and his profile and all, he could have been, great. Especially when you got a guy next to you like Jordan Brooks, who's cleaning up, everything, and hitting everything that moves. Again, we could have been talking about, maybe the best inside linebacker tandem in football, but that's just not the case. So reality is like, yeah, I'm done. I'm over it. It's the end of the season. We're letting it all fly right now. Again, great play here, phenomenal play. Have no problem giving the guy credit where it's due. Not enough of this, and a lot of other, just negative and ugly reps that are on tape. So, Yep. Hopefully this will be the last that we see at 25 because they could definitely use an upgrade and more consistency next to Jordan Brooks. This is the very next offensive play here, and this is the kind of stuff that I've seen. And honestly, this isn't even as bad or the stuff that drives me absolutely nuts, even though I laughed out loud actually when I saw this. But let's just watch Terrell Dodson here come up and fill the hole. I think he's either got a blitz call or he's trying to be aggressive or something, or maybe he's got a key on something because he is moving and being aggressive here, where you see Brooks is kind of laid back and reading and then reacting here. Watch what happens here, though. You're going to get this fullback here meeting him in the hole. And I think, in your head, if you said that the fullback and the linebacker are going to meet in the hole, or you see the way that Jordan Brooks attacks these kinds of plays, or legitimate real linebackers, attack these plays that want to stop the run, it doesn't look like that. I don't know what that is. But to me, that looked like that was a business decision or fear. I don't know what it was, but it's not good, and it turns into 7-yard run when the reality is you could have blown that up and clogged the hole, and Trayvon's not left with many places to go after that. So we'll take a look at it from here, but yeah, I mean, these are the ugly reps that I'm talking about, and like I said, it just so happened to be the next play. So while I was hot on the topic, we'll take a look at it. Yeah, I don't know what we're doing there, but that is definitely not the way to stop the run. And again, I've seen a lot of this kinds of stuff, throughout the year. So like I said, for me, ship has sailed. I'm over it. Okay, real quick, I just want to show this because I actually thought this was kind of funny to see on tape. And I know he's going to be thinking about this one. 'Cause look at this. So this is, they go play action, roll out right with the designed throwback screen here. Look at Zach. Zach is right here. Helmet right now is on Ramondre. Now he turns and looks and sees this over here. Dude, I mean, this is every big man's opportunity. Their dream. He had the opportunity here to do something with that. He could have went and picked that off, or at least tried to, and instead it turned into that, which is kind of sad. But yeah, like when you watch it, like he kind of followed it and read it like properly, and then like here we're just deer in headlights. I mean, this ball is in the air. Like, come get this, Zach. Come make this play, baby. That thing's waiting for you. It's got your name on it. And yeah, we did not, but that made me laugh a little bit. And like I said, we're in the last week of the season. This is the last tape that we're, last game tape that we're crushing. That's not going to be, strictly player focused or, looking at off-season acquisition possibilities and that kinds of thing. Like, this is actual, let's see what happened, in the game, that kind of tape. And again, we're gonna have some fun with it. We're gonna try to end on a positive note. We all know how the season went. I don't need to shed any light on anything more than we've already done this year, right? So you guys, if you've been here, every step of the way, you kind of know where we stand on a lot of things. And again, I try to be interactive on Twitter so that way we can, if anybody's got questions, comments, concerns, or a difference of opinion, that kind of thing, like, we can talk it out, and that's what's fun, is good football discourse, man. I'm looking forward to a lot of it this off season, and I text Eric and just said, thank you for giving me the opportunity, and I'm so glad that him and I hit it off, and we kind of decided to do this thing because, again, this is all the first time I've ever done anything like this before. And I had a lot of fun with it, but, and now we're going to be going into like my first off season. So that's going to be a wild ride as well. But I'm very excited because the off season is like Christmas for me. I look forward to it, probably as crazy as it is. I almost look forward to it, as much, if not more, than the season itself. Again, I understand how crazy that is. But it's because, it provides me hope, that the Dolphins can do things that they'll become, a better team and we can win. And like I said, when you actually get into this season, usually it all falls apart for us, right? So that the fun and all that stuff of being, a fan kind of goes out the window eventually, far too often, too early. And that's why I enjoy the off season, because there's endless possibilities to make your team better, and it's fun trying to figure out who the next big guys are going to be, in the NFL. So yeah, like I said, we're gonna end this year with with a fun video and a fun breakdown, and make sure we do it on a positive note, because that's our choice. Our choice is to be positive over just flat out negative all the time. Yeah, again, thought that was really funny from the reverse angle, because you could tell Zach was there, almost didn't know what to do, where he was like, he's the guy, he's standing in the corner that nobody ever passes the ball, and it hits him in the hands, and he's got 3 seconds to get a jump shot off to win the game, and it's just what it reminded me of. I thought it was really funny, so maybe next time, Zach. So again, take a look at somebody here. You get a one-on-one matchup down here. We're in man across the board. This is Ramondre Stevenson, who is actually somebody that I personally really like and have always kind of paid attention to, because when he was in the draft process coming out of Oklahoma, I was a big fan, and I wanted Miami to select him. I thought he would have been fantastic, fantastic pick in like the fifth round, fourth round, somewhere in that area. And you're going back, quite a few years, but I'm sure if I dug, I could probably find the tweets from an old account. And I remember I remember tweeting Omar Kelly and telling him that Ramondre Stevenson should be a pick. So again, Ramondre, for me, when he has success, it's bittersweet. But again, you're not going to find very many people that have as much respect for Ramondre as I do. And I'm not saying that this is, he shouldn't be able to do this to anybody, or he's slow or not capable, whatever. But he's not exactly like your route runner type. So like for me, this is kind of interesting, where if this was Travion Henderson, I might understand a little bit more. But again, we'll just take a look and see what happens. We're one-on-one, and that move right there was enough to create 7 yards of separation and walk, catch the ball in your own zip code. Again, listen, I know the Dolphins quit. I know that, this wasn't their best performance. And again, it didn't mean anything. And, I'm not sure I should really even be taking any of this too serious, which I'm really not. But again, like some of it, again, is your pride's on the line. Like when you're in man coverage, listen, it's one thing to like not want to tackle a guy 20 yards downfield when he's 220 pounds and it's cold, and you don't want to just get run over by a Mack truck. I can understand those business decisions a little bit more than saying, I'm in one-on-one coverage here and I'm just going to get flat out smoked. So no, I'm not buying that, like, they quit. Like, I don't think that applies to a play like that. I think that play right there is flat out just bad football, quite honestly. So again, just showing, what the other guy next to Jordan Brooks. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me that you can have such a high on one side and then a low on the other side. So again, I won't repeat it. This will be the last time I do. Miami needs to find themselves a running mate for Jordan Brooks, because their defense is badly lacking somebody else at that second level that can play better football. Very nice. And okay, guys, the last one that we're going to take a look at here is it's a play by Jordan Phillips. I actually saw this one on Twitter recirculating a little bit, and this is exciting because he's a rook, 5th-round guy. And again, like he's been very good, very consistent all year long. But we actually haven't seen a ton of like this kind of play from Phillips. It's mostly been like, he'll get inside the guard, on his shoulder pads, and he'll lock out with his 2 arms, and then he'll just kind of shed when he, finds the ball carrier. And, he uses his just tremendous strength and then makes tackles in the hole. Is always working, high motor, never going to question that. But this play here, man, was really cool because, again, like you don't see it a lot from him, where he's just, that looks like Zack Seiler. Like that's Zack Seiler's game right there, And, again, I don't know what's been asked of him in the defense, or if it's just do what you're comfortable with, or that kind of thing. And that does play a part. Not all players are tasked with the same thing on, and definitely not on every single play. So, I'm curious, like, can we get more of that from Jordan Phillips, or was that just because New England had kind of put in some backups and he had an opportunity and decided to try something and it worked, or, whatever the case may be. I hope we get more of it, though. That's what I want. And, but again, like, very, very exciting player. I think he's going to be a key cog. I mean, that's a guy that's seriously, like, with the strength that he has, I can just see him seriously being in the NFL for like 16 years, and continue, like, getting 1-year contracts, just because, yes, he won't do anything special at the end of his career, but he's so strong and he's fundamental and, technically sound, and he's just going to be like a stalwart in the run game, where it's just like, oh, we'll plug Jordan Phillips in. Oh, we need, our run defense was bad last year. Let's go grab Jordan Phillips. Like, I can just see him having that kind of end to his career where he just hangs around, kind of like on the opposite side Mercedes Lewis does. Mercedes Lewis is kind of like, oh, well, we need a tight end that can block. Let's go get Mercedes. Like, he's going on 41 years old, 42 years old, whatever he is. It's absurd. But he keeps finding work because those are jobs that every team needs. They're very important. And, teams are willing to pay for them because they do make a difference. And maybe they don't make the splash play, but they allow the, operation to be cleaner. And I think that's kind of the same thing that Jordan Phillips does. He's a dirty work guy. And, Miami should be very thankful that they have him, and they have him for the next few years. And, I know I had fun watching him this year. So hopefully, going forward, we get more of what this play is, because if he can add this repertoire, or to his repertoire, Miami could have, something really special there. So we'll see how that goes. But I think this is where we're going to wrap it up, guys. I think that's going to be the last play of the 2025 Miami Dolphins film watching and breakdowns from me. I texted Eric earlier and thanked him because, this was pretty cool, man. Like, I'd never really done anything like this before. I've always been a tape watcher, but it was always kind of like, just sporadic. It was never as consistent as this. Like, it would be, oh, let me go check this guy out. Let me, I have a question about somebody or something, so let me go find the answer, right? Like, oh, I'm bored. Let's get into it here. Oh, draft process, right? Like, let's watch tape that way. So again, this was a little bit different in that aspect, and then definitely sharing my opinions and all that kind of stuff. I've never done anything like that before, so again, I'm very happy and very thankful that Eric and I hit it off, right away, and, saw the value in each other's opinions and enjoyed, just talking ball with each other and deciding that, like, hey, this is a fit. Like, let's do this thing, man. So yeah, a lot of fun. Again, for my first time doing this, very excited to get into it next year. I'm very, very excited to get into the off season because, again, for me, that's like Christmas. So really hope you guys, continue to stick with us and stick with me. Comments, questions, concerns, all that stuff, hit us up. The off season's time for new hope and a new Dolphins team and new possibilities and all that stuff. So I think that's why I enjoyed so much, but I'm really excited to share it with you guys. And I think what I'm going to do is, just for plans ahead, guys, for anybody that, consistently make sure to watch, I think I'm going to do something somewhat soon that's a breakdown of, just kind of all the defensive players and maybe throw some tape in there, but it's going to be a lot more talking. And then, we'll move on to the off season. So, all right, guys, appreciate you guys for sticking with me. And, all right, hopefully the 2026 Dolphins are better than the 2025 Dolphins. Because if so, we'll have a hell of a lot more fun going through the tape than we did this year. All right, so take it easy, guys. Thanks. Fins up.
Okay, thank you. Trace, and back over to Achane again. Believe he's got a first down.
Make up for a lot of mistakes.
First and 10 after an 11-yard pass play to Achane.